Someone from the Hun clan. Xiao Yan's eyes were focused on the human figure on the distant mountain. Yao Lao and the other looked over. Their expressions immediately changed drastically. It was unexpected that there were actually experts from the Hun clan present on this Shenong mountain range. It's Hun Sha, one of the four demon saints. His strength is comparable to Hun Jing and Hun Yin. Old man Shenong was quite familiar with these people from the Hun clan. Hence, his expression changed slightly after seeing the monstrous evil aura. He sighed softly. This Hun clan has really dispatched all of its experts to destroy the Yao clan. Unexpectedly, there is really someone who can tear open the spatial seal placed by Nihility, sir. The figure in the distance stepped on the empty air. In a flash, he appeared in the sky above them. He looked down at Xiao Yan's group and focused his eyes onto Xiao Yan. His mouth was involuntarily parted into a smile. Those dense white teeth contained a stern, evil aura, giving them the appearance of belonging to a savage beast. You are Xiao Yan, right? I have heard that the old man Hun Yin has suffered a loss in your hands. The members of the Xiao clan are indeed extraordinary. Fortunately, my Hun clan had decisively killed the Xiao clan. Otherwise, this world would currently be faced with a completely different situation. Xiao Yan's eyes stared intently at this black-clothed human figure. Although the latter had a dense smile on his face, his pair of eyes were filled with an indifferent evil aura. Clearly, this person was not some soft-hearted person. What should we do? Yao Lao asked in a soft voice. It is unexpected that they had encountered a wolf after escaping from a tiger's den. This fellow was obviously not an ordinary person. No one present was a match for this person if they fought. Xiao Yan's 8-colored fire lotus might be terrifying, but it could not be used continuously. Moreover, from the situation when he had used it earlier, even an 8-colored fire lotus would have difficulty kill an expert of this level. Should he manage to escape, their group would really have a difficulty fighting him. Teacher, you should leave first. I will block him for a while. Xiao Yan exhaled slowly and said, What? Yao Lao's expression changed immediately. How could Xiao Yan alone be a match for this person? Relax, I have my own plans. All of you should hurry up and leave. After that, hide your auras. I will hurry to the Gu clan after holding him back for a while. Xiao Yan softly said. He immediately clenched his hand. A jade bottle appeared in it. There was a dragon eye-sized medicinal pill floating within it. A shocking energy gathered like a crystal within the bottle, while an unusual fragrance spread. Tier 9 mysterious pill. Yao Lao only sighed in relief after seeing that medicinal pill. However, his eyes still contained some worry. The energy of a Tier 9 mysterious pill was extremely terrifying. It would require many aiding medicinal pills to help in the refinement after one consumed it. Hence, even with Xiao Yan's strength, he did not dare to easily swallow it. Moreover, he would definitely have to fight with Hun Sha after swallowing the pill. This would mean he would not have the attention to refine the medicinal strength. In that case, it might cause his body to suffer a relatively severe damage. Although he was worried in his heart, Yao Lao also understood the present situation. They would still have a chance to survive if they escaped. If they remained behind, however, it would not only end up distracting Xiao Yan, but they might really be eliminated by this fellow. You should be careful. Shatter this jade if you manage to escape. I will be able to feel it. Yao Lao finally stiffed a jade piece into Xiao Yan's heart while his heart struggled for a moment. After which, he let out a low cry and took the lead to rush forward. Old man Shenong behind hesitated for a moment before grabbing the youths from the Yao clan and quickly followed. Where do you think you are going? Hun Sha frowned after seeing that Yao Lao and the others were actually fleeing. The ghost blade formed by blood in his hand was swung downwards. A 10,000 feet large blood blade glow shot through the sky and sharply hacked towards Yao Lao's group. Clang! The blade glow flew past with lightning-like speed. However, a black figure appeared in front of it, while it was still 1,000 feet from Yao Lao's group. Both arms of the figure were crossed, and it forcefully received that sharp blade glow. Bang! Although they had received the blade glow, that frightening force had directly pushed that figure into the mountain range below. An entire mountain shook and collapsed. Huge rocks rolled and a loud rumbling sound appeared. The speed of Yao Lao's group once again soared after Han Sha's attack was blocked. Within a couple of flashes, they had rushed out of the mountain range and swiftly disappeared into the horizon. Useless people. It is fine that they have escaped. Just capturing you will do. Han Sha's brow was lifted after he saw Yao Lao's group successfully fleeing. However, he could not be bothered to give chase. He turned his head and his eyes suddenly paused on the Tier 9 mysterious pill in Xiao Yan's hand. A greedy flashed within those eyes. Xiao Yan, hand over that medicinal pill and I will give you an easy death. What do you say? Otherwise, I will extract your soul and burn it for hundreds of years. I don't think you wish to suffer a fate worse than death. Xiao Yan merely smiled coldly in the face of Han Sha's words. He squeezed his hand, and the jade bottle burst apart. The medicinal pill within it immediately turned into a ray of light. Before it could flee, however, Xiao Yan caught it with great reflex and directly stuffed it into his mouth. Bang! After the medicinal pill entered his body, the clothes over Xiao Yan's body had directly been turned into ashes. Densely packed dragon scales appeared over his skin. Waves after waves of indescribable energy continuously surged out from within his body like floodwater. At the end, the energy had actually agglomerated into an armor over Xiao Yan's body. What a powerful energy! Under the vast and mighty energy, Xiao Yan's body began to tremble continuously. The inside of his body felt as though he had just swallowed many huge dragons. It was a complete mess. Wild erosion spread over every part of his body. Under the uncontrolled violence of this energy, even Xiao Yan's perfect heavenly state soul had been humbled. Roar! An endless energy galloped through the interior of Xiao Yan's body. Finally, it turned into an earth-shaking roar that resounded over the entire area. The surrounding mountains had once again collapsed in the face of the furious roar. Yao Tian and Yao Ling also hurriedly stepped back. Interesting. Swallowing a Tier 9 mysterious pill requires many other things to aid in its refinement. This action of yours is no different from committing suicide. Han Sha lifted his brow after detecting the energy erupted from within Xiao Yan's body. He immediately shook his head and laughed coldly. I have given you a path to take, but you refused to. Do not blame me for being ruthless. Han Sha suddenly stepped forward as his words sounded. His body appeared in front of Xiao Yan almost immediately. The blood-colored large blade in his hand emitted a swoosh sound as it tore through the air and slashed onto Xiao Yan's neck with an extremely shocking speed. The bloodlight was rapidly magnified in Xiao Yan's eyes. He clenched his hand, and a mighty energy agglomerated into a huge, heavy ruler. Since he was unable to dodge, he would directly clash head-on with Han Sha. Clang! An unusually sharp wind spread as the blade and ruler collided. The mountain where the two of them stood on had been split into two. It collapsed with a bang, while the entire mountain range trembled. Xiao Yan's figure was directly forced back by thousands of feet. A sweetness rose on his throat. However, both of his eyes were unusually excited. The earlier clash had exhausted quite a lot of energy, greatly relieving him of the feeling of being about to explode within his body. Again, Xiao Yan did not fear Han Sha as the medicinal strength continued to surge out from within his body. He moved and took the lead to appear in front of Han Sha. The heavy ruler in his hand did not contain any skill. It directly used the most brutal method to hack downwards violently time and time again. The vast and mighty energy had basically agglomerated into a 10,000 feet large ruler glow. The mountains were split wherever it passed.
Clang, clang, clang.
Han Sha's expression was a little ugly as he faced Xiao Yan, whose do qi had erupted violently after swallowing the Tier 9 mysterious pill. The blood blade in his hands danced, forming many afterimages and receiving those heavy mountain-like ruler strikes. However, his body would descend by thousands of feet each time the heavy ruler fell. This caused his eyes to become a little gloomy. It was unexpected that Xiao Yan was actually so lively even after experiencing the big battle within the Yao realm. I will just watch how long you can be arrogant for. A Tier 9 mysterious pill might be powerful, but you do not have the time to refine it. The energy will completely damage your body. At that time, I will see how you will continue fighting. Although Han Sha had been pressed into a disadvantage by Xiao Yan's seemingly mad attacks, Han Sha was unusually calm. He let out a cold laughter while putting up a defense. Xiao Yan completely ignored his cold laughter. The excitement in his eyes grew increasingly intense as the heavy ruler in his hand fell in a crazy fashion. His strikes became increasingly heavy. The entire Shenong mountain range had been destroyed into a complete mess at this moment. Clang! Another mountain-like powerful strike fell, and Han Sha's arm had become a little numb. His body fell backwards by 10,000 feet. Many mountains were shattered to dust along the way. His expression also became wigglier. Ha, how enjoyable. Let's fight again another day. The math excitement in Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly vanished as he sent Han Sha flying with a ruler strike. He laughed towards the sky. The pair of bone wings on his back was flapped as he immediately turned around and flew towards another direction. At that direction, black figure had grabbed Yao Tian and Yao Ling as it flew to the horizon. It was the Northern King, which Xiao Yan had ordered to secretly take the duo away, while Xiao Yan was holding Han Sha back. Bang! Han Sha stomped his foot onto a mountain. Immediately, it was covered in cracks. Finally, the mountain was blasted apart and his body was stabilized. His face was dark and cold as he watched Xiao Yan flee into the distance. A low roar erupted. Xiao Yan, regardless of where you flee to, I will capture you, cut off your flesh and extract your soul. Han Sha moved as those vicious words sounded. He turned into a bloody light as he rushed forward with great speed. From the looks of it, he was clearly not intending to allow Xiao Yan to escape. A deep thunder-like sound suddenly appeared in the vast sky. Immediately, a bright light that caused one to be stunned flashed across the sky. In a flash, it appeared in the horizon. The rumbling explosion caused many experts along the way to raise their heads in shock. Soon after the bright light flashed across the sky, a monstrous evil aura suddenly spread across the sky from behind. A black light flew past. The monstrous evil aura caused many experts to be frightened. Even some of the sects did not dare to pay attention to it. Just a random wave of a hand by that kind of expert would likely eliminate the entire faction. The chasing conducted by such an expert was not something that they could observe. This fellow really doesn't give up. The bright light flashed through the sky. The figure inside paused momentarily and frowned upon sensing the murderous aura from behind. That figure was naturally Xiao Yan, who had fled after exchanging blows with Han Sha. However, he did not expect that the latter would actually continue to follow him. From the looks of it, the latter did not show any signs of giving up. Mr. Xiao Yan, there is still half a day's journey from this place to the Gu realm. That fellow is catching up. Yao Tian, who was in Xiao Yan's hand, did his best to block the wind pressure from their great speed and cried out loud. Xiao Yan nodded slightly and frowned. The energy of the Tier 9 mysterious pill could only be described as terrifying. Currently, the interior of his body had already been damaged by the wild and violent energy until it was extremely miserable. Even though Little E had already done its best to refine the energy, it was still a little insignificant. If it was not because of his strong body, his body might have already exploded from the energy. Despite this, it was clearly not a long-term solution. How would he escape from Hun Sha if the energy from the Tier 9 mysterious pill was to injure his body? The both of you should prepare to leave first. The condition inside my body is quite bad. If I'm afraid the Hun Sha will catch up soon if I bring the two of you along with me. One of you should be able to keep your life if you leave now. That fellow's target is me. It is likely that he won't chase you. Xiao Yan mused for a moment and spoke in a deep voice. Even with the support of the energy from the Tier 9 mysterious pill, his speed would be slower than Hun Sha if he brought two people with him. I'll follow you. Yao Tian and Yao Ling spoke almost at the same time after Xiao Yan's words sounded. They were aware that it was most dangerous to follow beside Xiao Yan. However, they wished to leave the safest position to the other party. What a touching scene. However, there is no time for argument now. Xiao Yan frowned and said. Yao Tian and Yao Ling were stunned as he heard this. The latter immediately threw a palm onto Yao Tian's chest. A gentle force pushed the latter away from Xiao Yan. However, Xiao Yan did not stop her. With a wave of his sleeve, he sent Yao Tian flying through the sky. A voice was transmitted into the latter's ears. Hurry up and leave. Yao Tian steadied his body in a miserable manner. His eyes were completely red as he looked at Xiao Yan duo flying into the distance. Without uttering any unnecessary words, he turned around and hurried in another direction. You are really decisive. Xiao Yan hugged Xiao Ling's delicate waist. Pink flame wrapped around the both of them. Their speed suddenly soared. Yao Ling's face was a little flushed as her delicate waist was being tightly hugged by Xiao Yan. That cold frost on her face had also diminished slightly. She turned her head and looked at the face beside her. This was a face that was far from the handsome look of her brother Xiao Tian. However, it caused her eyes to flicker. Given her cold and haughty nature, she had seldom felt any admiration for a person of the opposite gender during these years. This person was the only exception. The time which both parties had been in contact was quite short. Xiao Yan was serious and casual while he was. A beauty loves a hero. Regardless of how cold the beauty was, it was impossible for her to be an exception to this rule. Xiao Yan did not have the time to be bothered with the thoughts of the beauty in his embrace. At this moment, most of his thoughts were focused on suppressing and refining the out-of-controlled vast and mighty energy in his body. At the same time, he must maintain his speed. These various matters was quite a big test to him. Separate, huh? From far behind Xiao Yan, Hun Sha, who had a gloomy expression, quickly swept his eyes over Xiao Yan's and Yao Tian's back. Finally, he let out a cold snort and continued chasing after Xiao Yan. These members of the Yao clan who had escaped were completely useless to them. However, it was different when it came to Xiao Yan. The latter had the two Shi ancient god jade in his hand. This was something the Hun clan must obtain. I wish to see just how long you can last for. One party fled while the other chased in the sky. This continued for a couple of hours. During this period of time, the two parties had basically crossed half of the Central Plains. Although they had caught the attention of many experts along the way, no one dared to intervene in the face of Hun Sha's shocking aura. All they did was simply watch the both parties flying through the sky. Following the flow of time, Xiao Yan's condition had clearly become increasingly worse. The crystal-like, seemingly endless energy gathered within the meridians of his body. It firmly sealed off the many meridians. Even though Little E was doing its best to refine the energy, there would be an endless amount of energy crystals continuously appearing. The energy crystals slowly swelled, and a vague pain was felt in Xiao Yan's unusually tough meridians. The energy of a Tier 9 mysterious pill was actually this frightening. Mr. Xiao Yan. Yao Ling looked at Xiao Yan's miserable expression. Although the strength of her dou qi was not very strong, her spiritual strength was quite powerful. Hence, she had also sensed that Xiao Yan's spiritual strength had become exhausted as it continued to weaken. If something becomes amiss later on, I will send you away. Xiao Yan forcefully braced his attention. Currently, his body was not only filled with external injuries, but the inside of his body was also a complete mess. It was already quite difficult for him to last until now. Yao Ling gently bit her lips. She suddenly extended her snow-white wrist and handed it to Xiao Yan. She softly said, "My constitution is a little unique. Hence, my blood possessed the effect of nourishing spiritual strength. Mr. Xiao Yan." Xiao Yan was immediately startled upon hearing this. His eyes glanced at the exquisite and attractive face of Yao Ling. The latter looked at him seriously. That appearance did not seem like she was lying. There is actually such a strange constitution. No wonder it is said that this lady might have a chance to step into the D-state spiritual strength. It is likely because of this constitution. A thought passed through Xiao Yan's mind. He did not utter anything unnecessary as he bit on Yao Ling's wrist. His teeth pierced into the blood vessel. A great amount of bright red blood was sucked into Xiao Yan's mouth. Xiao Yan violently shuddered after the blood, which contained a little unusual sweetness, entered his mouth. The blood had turned into a mysterious energy immediately upon entering his mouth. It spread swiftly and surged towards the center of his brow. His originally exhausted spiritual strength was actually being wrapped by a faint blood light. A feeling that was fuller than when he was at his peak suddenly appeared. What mysterious blood! A sleek redness swiftly rose on Xiao Yan's face. Both of his eyes brightened. He could clearly sense that his soul was greedily devouring the blood. This was the first time he had ever felt such a sensation. My spiritual strength might advance further if I suck her blood dry. A thought from an unknown source flashed across Xiao Yan's heart. It was quickly eliminated by Xiao Yan in the next instant. He looked at Yao Ling, who was gently biting her red lips while wearing a pale expression, and involuntarily slapped himself violently within his heart for the beast-like thought. He slowly relaxed his mouth and wiped off the blood from the corner of his mouth. After which he muttered in an apologetic manner, "Thank you very much." Yao Ling shook her head slightly. Her pretty eyes looked behind her as she pressed her eyebrows together and said, "That fellow has become faster." Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly upon hearing this. He discovered that the sound of rushing wind far behind had become increasingly deep. Clearly, Han Sha had begun to feel impatient and had used some unknown method to increase his speed. "Hold tight. This place is already quite close to the Gu clan. We will be safe once we arrive." Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of air. His eyes had become stern. The green-red wings on his back were flapped and his body turned into a lightning that swiftly hurried into the horizon. "Brat, I will not give you the opportunity to seek refuge in the Gu clan." Han Sha's face appeared extremely gloomy as he gave chase from behind. He did not expect Xiao Yan's speed to suddenly increase after having slowed for a moment. Immediately, the seal formed by his hands changed. Black dou qi erupted in a monstrous fashion and turned into a black bat that was thousands of feet in size. A mouthful of essence blood was spat out. It adhered onto the bat. The bat flapped its wings. One could hear a swoosh sound as it completely vanished. "This is bad." Xiao Yan's expression changed drastically the moment Han Sha's figure disappeared. He grabbed Yao Ling in his embrace and suddenly lowered his body. Qi. Xiao Yan's body had just descended when a blood glow rushed out from the space above his head. It brushed past his head as it flew past. "Xiao Yan, where will you flee to?" The space fluctuated, and a dense-looking Han Sha broke out from it. His eyes were ferocious as he stared at Xiao Yan. The blood blade in his hand was swung, and a huge blood glow, which was tens of thousands of feet in size, cut through the air. It had the might of shattering the land as it slashed onto Xiao Yan duo. The blood glow was rapidly magnified in Xiao Yan's eyes. His face was extremely gloomy. His shoulders shook and literally appeared in a flash. A golden lightning dragon was quickly wiggling on Little Yi's arm. However, Xiao Yan was just about to use the strength of the 9 mysterious golden lightning as a final retaliation when an elderly figure suddenly appeared in the space in front of him. A cry resounded from that figure. Trying to murder in the territory of my Gu clan. Hunsha, you are really a little too arrogant,